time and 25 free text messages to call and text all your friends and family on MTN. And that's not all. You also stand a chance of getting birthday cakes and e-vouchers to grab your own birthday gifts at some of your favorite shops and supermarkets. So, Charlie, you know where all the birthday fun there, right? Yeah, join the biggest family in Ghana and let's chill on your special day, kind courtesy MTN. Terms and conditions apply. So, time to get talking on our drive chat. And today is a very special conversation. So, on the 8th of March, the world celebrated International Women's Day. Break the bias. Yeah, we all want to break the bias. Now, when you look at Ghana's history, you hear very iconic names. Well, majority are men. You hear a few female names. How many of them do you know? Yeah. So today we decided to go back in time. Yeah. And talk about the sheroes from back in the day. The unsung sheroes of Gold Coast. With our repository of indigenous knowledge. Osha Kehire and Sakwao. The fourth. Oyi. Sorry. This one be my so until this woman.
That's one will be
no be you, okay. Obeyi Kehire Nana, good to see you. How are you?
Good to see you too, Lexis.
Yes,
it's always good to be here.
Always good to have you. I mean, I was looking forward to our next conversation. And this particular one I'm quite interested in because this week everybody is celebrating women the world over. And I thought that we need to also go back in time and celebrate the sheroes from Yasantua and her colleagues.
Yeah.
Some of them are not as popular as Yasantua. But they've got very interesting stories as well.
They do.
Okay. So before we talk about these women, I would want to know what your thoughts are about breaking the bias. I mean, from the historical or indigenous perspective, breaking the bias.
Well, I think originally or traditionally, as Africans, there was no bias to be broken by women. The only thing which you would talk about was because technology was not so much back then, and that a lot of things were dependent on brute force. You know, the women would be silent and say, "We and Bemejuma," because there was a lot of heavy lifting. But I'm sure if technology was back then and the way they were thinking, there wouldn't have been any division as to say,
Are you serious?
Oh, I'm very serious.
No, I mean, that's quite interesting because I think that a lot of, the advocates for women have talked about, the bias or the division, more like seated in our traditions.
No, it's giving a dog a bad name and, hanging it. You see, so once upon a time, we all left and went to formal school and quote unquote became civilized, adopted their lifestyle, and then came back home and said, "Oh no, we are being strangled by this lifestyle." But it wasn't us. It was completely not us. I mean, a housewife. There was nothing like a housewife. I mean, there was nothing like a housewife saying, or if you went into marriage, you went into marriage with your identity. Yeah, you don't go and marry and say, "Fede me, Mrs. Sechiyama." Debbie, wouldn't you the bar and now, and why are we radio? Cabana, or you take her, or no produce all my names and say, you live, you come, whatever trade you were in, you were in with your wife. So it's when we were copying the European lifestyle, that's when, the issue of housewife, the ring and change my name and keep me at home. And they say, now I'm being kept at home. No. We didn't have that. So it was all, we borrowed it and then eventually got strangled with it.
So you don't think that historically or traditionally, the woman was in a disadvantaged position ever?
No. Only in terms of brute force and strength. Because back then, things, there were no cranes or there were no machine guns to shoot, you had to throw spears, and because of just the bulky nature of men, you got to do that more. But in terms of sitting around and deciding or respect or protection for women, it has never been wavered. Never been wavered. Look, there's no history that I know where even like a military will go into a village and they will harm women and children. No. It's unheard of. Unless you want to be wiped out of history. It was unheard of.
So they were rather protected.
Heavily protected. I mean, look, Kwame, if you lived in a community and for one reason or the other you physically abused your wife, even your children getting into marriage, it will be a bit difficult. It could affect even your children just because you physically abused your wife.
Wow.
Yes, so we have always had that protection.
But what about in the quarters of decision making? It seemed that as though, that the man assumed the role of the head of the family, the man took decisions. I mean, even politically, what about, local governance?
Well, you see, somehow our forefathers knew that administration or politics, amanyosem, was a bit dirty. And therefore, at every family, every town, every unit would have one woman that they protect from that game. So, i.e., the Queen Mother is not allowed to mingle in politics. Amanyosem. Anything deemed as amanyosem, the Queen Mother is exempt. Now, after we all went to school, I mean, my Queen Mother is a PhD student. And so, if you were to tell her, say, come on, are you telling me I'm stupid? I'm right, and I'm doing a PhD here. Mukramunye PhD. Mukramunye PhD. Would make question them? But you see, it was done so that when we, the political players, got into trouble, we could go to her for resolution.
Go to the Queen Mother.
Go to the Queen Mother for a reason. And I'm sure you've heard all these sayings. Abrewa was the Queen Mother.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and so she was kept like what a modern day Supreme Court justice will be treated. You don't go to a nightclub and you see your Supreme Court justice in the queue or no, but I'm sure in her but they keep them in a certain isolation so that when you appear before her or him in court and he or she says you're right or wrong, you can't make any reference. I met you in the club, you were dancing with Phil Nye. So if I have a kiss with Phil, it means you would side with it. And that's what the thinking behind. Let's keep Abrewa away from the dirty politics. That's why Kwame, the amount of cases townships have today in court will amaze you. 16 years, 20 years, 5 years, 7 years running in court. Why? They don't trust that Abrewa can solve the problem. Because Abrewa is probably in the midst of them, going and coming because she also thinks, look, I'm also educated and I can also make my decision. But no, she was kept not to form opinions, make decisions, or share them. Even if you went to visit her, you were not even given a stool. You stand, just check her well-being. If you have a gift or food or something, you just leave it, bag off, you go. You see, and when that system was kept, we were able to resolve problems quickly. And it wasn't because they didn't trust her or thought she was, quote and unquote, unwise. No, they thought she was too wise to come and play the dirty game with us.
Yeah. But now it's changed. Modernization has kind of changed everything.
The Queen Mother was your classmate or your schoolmate or your graduate course mate. And you also feel, say, she's also wise enough to do some obeyebi. But the thing is that administration and politics and town running, you can get into trouble. Yeah, you must take sides at all the time. You can't be sort of neutral.
Yeah.
And if you are going to be the Supreme Court judge who settles a matter in this town, you can't take sides or seen to be taking sides.
Interesting. Well, this is some indigenous knowledge that Nana is sharing with us here. You can reach out to us on WhatsApp on 055-1111-997 if you have thoughts as well. But let's get to the crux of today's conversation, which is talking about the women, the sheroes of yesterday.
Who broke the bias?
Who broke the bias?
Sheroes who broke the bias. Now, since I'm from Akwamu, so let me give you a little bit of Akwamu. Now, this is a very, strong empire, fighting. And I said for one time they fought from north of Cape Coast all the way to south of Benin. That's how vast the empire was. And once upon a time, Nana Frakoma, when they were looking for a successor, it was a woman who took over and held the fort. Oba. He took over, Nana Frakoma took over and ran Akwamu, and held the fort. But one of the most beautiful stories
was this during the time of Ansasa Sraku?
That was before.
That was before Ansasa
Sraku. Before Ansasa Sraku.
Okay.
But one of the beautiful stories is the 24th occupant of the Ochiman stew, Abriwa Dokuya. Now her children were young, and her children are the ones who were supposed to succeed, take up the stew, but they were too young. So she took over the reins of Ochimai. And you'd be shocked about what this woman did. So she actually took both roles. She was the paramount chief and the paramount queen mother. Now, you must be so diplomatic and so tactful to play both roles. Because there you are in the midst of the politics, and you are the same Abrewa that would have to take decisions. Now, during her reign, it's when she divided Ochimai into divisions, i.e. the Nifa group, Jasi group, that group, this group. She created that administration to fortify it, because at the time the Ashantis and the Achims were always at loggerheads, and she led them 99 times in war, and Ochimai did not fall. 99 times she led them, and Ochimai did not fall. It was during Nana Dokuya's reign that when Drabing had an issue with Asantehene and they moved down south, she settled them at Koforidia. She gave them land, because at the time she wasn't too good with the Ashantis anyway. The people from Kutuku came, she settled them. And one interesting thing she did, and this is just my thinking, I think, she was married to an Ashanti, and she made the Ashanti a Siakwahene and made him Nifahene. And I'm just thinking, well, maybe the guy is from Ashanti. He may still have some links and some spies within Ashanti to feed her. It was
okay.
And I'm just thinking, that's a very smart move. It's a very smart move. And she held the town, Ashanti, the Ochima in state. And when her children grew up and were ready to succeed, she left the position and went back to play her queen mother role. After tasting power and forming all these administrative divisions and everything, she relinquished the king throne, went back to play her Abrewa role. Now, one fantastic thing, after Santua also, kicked off in Edriso, obviously said that no, they were not going to let the golden stool go, and so they had to fight for it. Eventually, she was captured. Nana Dokuya went to Edriso to manage affairs. So she was now managing Ochimai and Edriso. How much bias do you want to break? How much bias do you want to break?
Wow.
So she went there to manage Edriso after Santua had been captured, and manage Ochimai until they both had chiefs, and then he fall back into her position. So I'm thinking, if we had women back then who have done this, we should really look at that, and even if Ubifa Oba Rani Mate Cry becomes so new, like NTB. No, these were women who were running kingdoms, and kingdom new. Those days it was fighting and protecting territories. And now look, if you've been in any leadership role in the traditional circle, it is one of the most difficult things dealing with human beings. Even positive change. Now the paracetamol ne brand on no be omo ye revolt on di anim. So you akwa na tie ne ya eduro obeji bia no mi on di anim. So these are what some of these what this woman did. I take modern day Nana Frakoma, who's alive today, for over 25 years. There's a dispute as in the paramountcy, who should be chief, who shouldn't be chief, held the fort. And because Akwamus and the Domas are twins, as I said the other time, anytime there's no Domahine, she would have to leave Akwamu, go and stay in Doma, sit there until they install a Domahine, and then she'll come back home. So women in the traditional sector, those who believe in the pure traditions, they don't have a problem with the bias. I'm hoping said the modern ones would quickly grasp it and also let these women break the bias now. There's
so in the
nothing.
case of Nana Frakoma, Nana Dukia, there was no resistance to they assuming the roles that they did.
No, they were respected. They were. I mean, if a woman has gone 99 battles with another town, that means she was respected. Obviously, one thing about leadership is that yes, by all means, there will be even if you broke them, sliced bread with butter every morning, you still have people in the town who say, "Oh, you are giving us constipation." They will have an issue with it. However, in spite of all that, they were able to make history. So, but today, you see most people calling their daughter Dukia with pride, but they don't bother to tell the daughter why it is I'm calling you Dukia.
They don't know.
Yeah, they don't know. They just think, oh, yeah, me a Dukia. No. Because you're named after a very resilient woman who, Gioche Mantnasi, Chiche Mu, a man to me and son, Nifa Benkum Jase, Sumenya Chiche, to make sure that the state did not fall apart. And the state never fall apart till today. It's still alive. So, I mean, these are very, very commendable, commendable efforts. And even to leave Ochimai and go to Odriso to go and hold the fort because Yasantua wasn't there. So she went to go and hold the fort. And this was because Odriso, Offenso, and Achim, Odriso, Offenso, were all brothers from Adanse. But when the conquest was coming, so they had that matrilineal relationship. To who said and it was, Adriso alone was Jadem. Yeah, but you go things to like Jadem. But she didn't say anything. She still was able to manage Achim and still go there and help them to hold the fort until such time they will find new royals to occupy the stools. So, some great women have broken the bias.
Yeah. The more we talk about these things, the more I see the negative effects of modernization. And I'm sure you detest these as well.
Well, you see, I don't know if detest is fine, but sometimes I just don't like the fact that we copy something wrongly, bring it back, and then blame it that this was our culture. I remember when I started with Joy, anytime the issue of witchcraft is mentioned, they'll call me, come, we are talking about witchcraft. So I had to actually do a show to say witchcraft is a foreign culture to us. The witchcraft is nothing. It's not. And maybe before I do, I brought from the buy. I brought from the buy.
Mentiase.
Yes, I brought from the buy. You and I never had bayi until Obroni the buy say, "Oh, you bay for we bay you two and a Jew or Danny or Kra." It was imported. I'm telling you.
Okay, Tobo. Before you go further, but set before what here?
Well, what there been anyhow. Everything you do alone becomes.
It's before ha.
Well, yes. Now we have become too evil. Because we've channeled our energy into so much evil deed that we have become evil. But until then, no, like we say, those days, why? Because you are very good at a disc jockey. There are people who could hear. There are people who could see. There are people who could smell. They could smell a leaf and know that this leaf, it can say, it will heal it. This leaf, if you have a headache, this leaf will, they had the sense of smell. It was as a blessing given to them by God, not Satan. I mean, the issue of Satan and Lucifer we didn't know him. It was, there's a place burning and there'll be a friend of Lucifer. We didn't know. It was not in our culture. Ours, if you lead a good life, you go and you become an ancestor. If you don't, you're not even remembered. It's true. But yeah, there's a book called The Hammer of Witches. Anybody can Google it. The Hammer of Witches. The Hammer of Witches. So there's this priest, right, who becomes very obsessed with women. I don't know why. Begins to hate women. I'm not starting here. So he went to a village in Austria, and he was just trying women, and so basically they will bring you and say you are a witch. Now come and prove that you are a witch. Literally. And the Pope's representative in Austria came to court one day and told this guy, said, listen, you can't go and bring women here for them to come and prove that they are witches. The reason why you brought the woman here, you should prove it. Somehow he got embarrassed and moved to a different town. When he got there, he had written a book. In the book, let's say it was today, he's had like Mensa Utabil, like Duncan Williams, Ajin Asari have all signed the book. And so when people saw that these powerful guys have signed this guy's book, they took the book as gospel. And every preacher worth his salt at the time was using this hammer of witches. They were burning people at the stake. Burning people at the stake. Now, when they bothered to read what Ajinasari and Duncan Williams have written, they had written that the book was very dangerous and wasn't for public consumption. But it was too late. They just saw the name and gave the book credit. And it turned out and said, so he started it all. And they were burning women at the stake. So until then, that missionaries came to here to come and preach to us. Nobody was a witch.
Malleus Maleficarum.
Hammer of Witches.
Heinrich Kramer, Jacob Sprenger.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening. I'm Nana Hayford. I'm so amazed. I'm from Sejimase in the eastern region. And what's Nana is saying is very true. And I'm sure he's referring to the story of Nana Dukia and Nana Afrakuma. Is that Afrakuma?
Afrakuma, yeah.
Yes. Oh, shit. Nana, you have hit the nail right. I said similar things at our office debate 2 years ago, and it was news to most of them. It's from Christian. Okay. Let me activate our phone lines 0302-216-541. I know our time is out, but I'm sure some people are thinking about all the things that we've said and how we can break the bias and all. Nana says that, if you go to indigenous Ghana or indigenous tradition from back in the day, there was no bias to be broken.
No.
The women were heralded and given a place. But you see, one of the things that I was thinking that maybe for women in positions you could not call out the bias, but for the average woman in the home or in the community, there were certain biases, and some probably still permeate society.
No, women have always been better nurturers than men. So I don't know if you want to call that bias, but however, you and your wife went to the farm together. You came home, you were pounding the fufu, and she was, turning it. You were fanning the fire, she's making the soup. It wasn't like, everything was done together. You went to the farm together and came back home together. Everything was, there was a better team. Yeah, there was a much better team.
Let me get on the phone line now. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, hi, what's your name?
Yeah, my name is Donko.
All right, Donko, let's hear you.
Yes, in fact, sometimes I cry and I weep when we have most of our learned people come and bastardize our tradition and make it seem like we were evil to ourselves, to our women, and it is modernization that is making women to be free in our society. Let me leave you with this song. Let's emancipate ourselves from mental slavery. Nana has said it all. When he bring it to the downside, we were having the 9 days and the calls who were the Kumanye men. they have respect among them. When you see a queen mother coming, you give way because she commands respect. Whichever side of the throne is fighting, when they see a queen mother, before the white man came and polluted our man, and then we think we are. You have preacher men coming and preaching and said this and that and make us look backwards. Thank you, boss. Nana, God bless you.
Thank you so much. 03022165541. Hello?
Hello, let's Oti Water from Tema.
Oti, go ahead. Let's hear you.
Truly, what Nana is saying is true. It's 100% because every time when the white people say, oh, this thing is bad, so we take that thing put in our head that our tradition is bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's good. Let's cherish it. As for me, the Ghana man for 1 month, I don't like it. If we can make it twice a year, that's another month for big Ghana man. So that will help us. We should not go to only one way the match, only Ghana man. No, to find another man and let us know proper thing about Ghana. We should cherish what we have. Because a lot of people say that Africa is bad. They think any negative about us. It's not right. We should cherish what we have. Nana, God bless you. God bless you. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you so much. 03022165541. Let's see. Hello? Oh, lost this. Okay, well, we really don't have so much time now, but I think it was quite a great conversation, and I'm grateful that you shared this. I'm particularly enthused about Nana Dukia.
Yeah.
It was a Miyochini.
Oh yes.
Miyochini. I'm pleasantly surprised that I didn't know the story, and I'm happy I know it now. Dukia, I don't know. Dukia na.
It's a very powerful name.
It's a very powerful name,
Very powerful.
you know.
You have to be proud.
Kwabna born Mrani woni nyumbimu. I'll play the song after the news because as a obodina no abon Mrani, so I'm curious about because I remember Woody Dukia BB.
Okay, I don't know Mrani.
But I'll look for it because it's a very interesting story and it shows the resilience of the people in Ochimang. Anyway, any final words? Break the bias.
Well. Let's. You know, I urge all men to back off, give women the opportunity, and men should build the confidence and not be scared that if a woman becomes a boss or if a woman is rising higher, it's a threat to men. I don't think so. It's a unison thing. So just as forebears were able to do it, I'm sure we should be able to do it even better now.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nana and Sakal. Yamin Shrao, as always, you're great. Yeah, I love this. Yeah.